Welcome back to the Rambler Sports Locker's coverage of Arch Madness. I'm Eric Moran, joined alongside RSL reporter Abbey Sileo to go over today's tournament action. Abbey, you covered the Loyola Chicago and Indiana State game. Tell me a little bit about how that game went.
Yeah, so the Ramblers held a wide lead throughout the game, and they ended up defeating the Sycamore 65-49. And I think the key to this win was consistency and efficiency from the start. There were several times throughout the game where the Ramblers went on scoring runs that kept the Sycamores from scoring for minutes at a time, which goes to show how solid this team was on both sides of the court. Offensively, three-pointers really made the difference here. The Ramblers made 42% of their three-point attempts and really stepped up in big moments to score, and they always kept that lead wide. The Sycamores stepped up their defense in the second half, but they could not keep up with the Ramblers' number one ranked, really strong defense. So I think all those wins played to the victory here.
And who are some of the key players who led to Loyola's victory?
And to be completely honest, I have to really commend the big guns here. Cameron Krutwig, he needs no introduction. He led the team with 18 points, and with his 11 rebounds, he now has the 9th most career rebounds in Loyola history with 911. Indiana State really tried to zero in on Krutwig by double teaming him, but they did not stop him from performing. He was an offensive powerhouse. Leading the unstoppable defense, we have Lucas Williamson, who scored 14 points tonight. And I really got to give it to Braden Norris. He played the most minutes out of any guy on the Ramblers at 35, and all 9 of his points came from three-pointers, which, like I said before, were instrumental in this victory. And after this Rambler victory, the number 2 seeded Drake Bulldogs faced off against the number 3 seeded Missouri State Bears. Eric, I know you covered this game, and this was a true nail-biter throughout, but Drake ended up pulling through with a thrilling conclusion. What kept this such a close game?
Well, I think what really kept it a close game is that there were huge implications for both teams. Both teams really wanted to win this game. If the Bears went on to win Arch Madness, they would have an NCAA tournament bid. And Drake is also playing for a conference title, but also an at-large bid as well. The game was full of lead changes the entire way. At one point, Drake had a 6-point lead, and at another point, Missouri State had a 4-point lead, but they were just trading lead changes the entire game. Ultimately, this game came down to the final play. With the game knotted up at 69, Joseph Yesufu made a layup with 2 seconds to go to give Drake the lead, and ultimately, the 71-69 win. Another big factor in Drake's win, they only had 2 turnovers compared to Missouri State's 9 turnovers.
And Drake was able to win this game without their top players, Roman Penn and Shanquan Hemphill, who were both injured. Who do you think stepped up to give Drake the win?
Yeah, I would say Drake's Joseph Yesufu played a huge role in today's win with 25 points and ultimately the go-ahead game-winning shot with 2 seconds to go. On top of that, Drake's Tremel Murphy also had a big game with 20 points and 7 rebounds. Towards the end of the game, he was actually playing with a bloody nose, but refused to go out of the game and kept playing. So I think both of those players had a really big impact on today's win for Drake.
And with this victory, our championship matchup is set. The number 2 seeded Drake Bulldogs will officially face off against the number 1 seeded Loyola Ramblers in the championship match and for a bid in the NCAA tournament. Who do you think will win?
Well, I think this game is going to be a really good game. You have both of the Valley's best, 1 and 2. I know Drake has been playing really well despite not having 2 of their starters. But at the end of the day, I think if you want to beat Loyola Chicago, you have to have your best and you have to play a perfect game. And that's ultimately why I have to give Loyola Chicago the edge in this one. Abbey, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. The last time a number 1 seed has reached a championship game was back in 2018, which of course was the year that the Ramblers won the tournament and went on their incredible Final Four run. And I know this team has this winning mentality. Coach Porter Moser said today after their Indiana State victory that they came into this tournament knowing that they wanted to play all weekend. They have that enthusiasm, they have the veteran leadership, and they clearly have all the skill and the consistency that they need to pull off this win. Even Indiana State coach Greg Lansing said today that he believes this team is better than the team that went to the Final Four 3 years ago. So I think this team has a really good chance of winning.
Thanks, Abbey. The number 2 Drake Bulldogs will take on the number 1 Loyola Chicago Ramblers Sunday at 1:10. To stay up to date with our coverage of Arch Madness, make sure to follow us on our social media pages at Loyola RSL. For the Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Eric Moran.